Dr. Jamie Shea is a Senior Fellow on Security and Defence Programmes at Friends of Europe and a former Deputy Assistant Secretary General at NATO. Dr. Zelenskyy says Ukraine is ready to launch its counteroffensive. Why now?
Well, obviously, it's no longer a spring offensive, which is what everybody's been calling it, because we're now well into June. So it's a summer offensive. I don't think President Zelenskyy wants an autumn offensive, because obviously then we're starting to head back already into the Ukrainian winter, where the ground is going to be far less favorable, the weather far less favorable for military operations. So I think President Zelenskyy sees that, with the summer now upon us, he has a sort of a fairly narrow window if he's going to give himself enough time for a serious offensive where he could really push back the Russian forces and regain sizable chunks of Ukrainian territory. But this said, I also think there's a game of psychological warfare going on because Zelenskyy and other Ukrainian leaders are sending mixed signals. We're ready now. No, we're going to wait. We need more military equipment. We're going to attack on a broad front, or we're going to launch a lot of small-scale attacks. So I think they want to keep the Russians guessing.
And they said that they are prepared. Do you think that they are prepared for the counteroffensive now?
Well, you never know. I mean, Napoleon famously said that no plan survives the first contact with the enemy. And it's very difficult before these operations begin to really sort of judge how strong the Ukrainians are, how well they've been able to prepare over the winter, whether they've sustained big losses in defending Bakhmut during the winter. We know they've lost a lot of soldiers killed there, so that they are not in as strong a position as they want to be. Similarly, on the Russian side, we know that the Russians have taken a real pounding in Bakhmut, suffering far more casualties than the Ukrainians and losing a lot of equipment. But the Russians also have dug themselves in, particularly in Crimea, building strong fortifications. So they may well be able to sort of defend themselves quite well. So we can speculate, but the proof of the pudding will be when the military operations actually begin.
And how will the possible offensive change the current status quo?
Well, from the Ukrainian point of view, it's absolutely key to get some kind of success this year, while Western support, American support in particular, in terms of money, in terms of training, in terms of equipment for Ukraine, this front of international solidarity to condemn Russia has held up very well. But of course, if the Ukrainians are not able to be successful, the war goes into 2024, we have the American elections. We have the possibility of a President Trump coming back who is far less supportive of Ukraine, and maybe, public support in Europe beginning to wilt a little. So I think the Ukrainians realize that it's now or never. This is the best chance for them. To the extent they are successful, they will also consolidate the support they're receiving, because everybody will want to get behind a winning strategy, but certainly not behind a losing strategy.
And Ukraine is trying to take back all these territories captured by Russia. How long do you think the fighting will continue?
Again, it's difficult to say. I think from the Ukrainian point of view, obviously, they want to liberate all of their territory, including Crimea, annexed already by Russia back in 2014, which means that they have to recapture about 20% of their territory currently occupied by Russia. But of course, it's a large size of territory in the sense that it extends all the way from Kharkiv to the north to Kherson in the south, with many ports along the Black Sea. Whether they're going to be able to do that in one offensive, I think many Western military experts would be rather doubtful of that. But on the other hand, if they can push back the Russians enough and inflict a military humiliation upon Putin, then of course they're in a much, much stronger position to enter peace negotiations. Russia will be in a weaker position. And that was the kind of view that was being expressed yesterday in Helsinki by the American Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, in a speech that he gave there on Ukraine.
Thank you very much. That is Dr. Jamie Shea, Senior Fellow on Security and Defence Programmes at Friends of Europe.
Thank you.